Hello, my name's Aidan and I'm from XMusic in Dublin, and today we're going to be talking about the Fender JV Modified Series Strats and Teles. So the Fender JV line is kind of an old from the 80s, but what they've done with these ones is they've sort of done the modified bit. So it's a JV modified Strat in this case. So what they all kind of have, to be fair, as a series across the board is they have a slightly V'd and also kind of satin neck profile. So that's really good for playability. It just feels really comfortable in your hand. And they also all have these lovely vintage sort of Kluson style tuners. So kind of specific to the era, but what's great about them is they are actually locking tuners, but without the big wheel thing that you see on a lot of the modern style ones. This one is called the 60s Modified, and the big one for that is it's big old sort of what a lot of people seem to think of as a 70s headstock, but they actually started doing it in about 65. Also, what they did in the mid-60s is they started giving you the option of a maple fingerboard. So this one also has this lovely little switch here, so we're kind of getting onto that modified element here. So if you pull this up, it actually brings in this pickup here. It is 3 vintage, I think they call it a vintage 60s, it's quite a generic sounding pickup, but it gives you that kind of 60s warmish sound. On the 50s one here, and you can also see there's a 50s Tele there, that they have the sort of 50s vintage pickup. What I do want to talk about a little bit is the construction of the guitar. So obviously it is a maple neck with a maple board. The 60s Tele actually has a rosewood board because it's designed on that sort of pre-65. It's a sort of pre-CBS style Tele with a double binding, etc. But one thing of note is the basswood or basswood. I'm pretty sure it's basswood. I seem to say, I don't think anyone knows actually how it's pronounced, but we're going to go with basswood because that's what the internet has told me. So basswood bodies. Now, basswood has been used quite a lot within the Japanese, kind of even over the, during the 90s and 2000s, etc. So even though they would have been maybe alder or ash or something more like that, they've gone with a basswood body. So it's not particularly uncommon of the Japanese stuff, really, but that is something to know. This one here, this is the 50s Modified, and as you can see, it is pretty much a 50s style that we're kind of used to from really any of the series. It's in the classic two-tone Sunburst. Something to also note about these guitars is they all come in one colour, but I think they've chosen some pretty cool colours and pretty classic colours, really. This one here, like I say, two-tone Sunburst. It's got a single ply guard, it's got a maple neck, it's got your spaghetti sort of pre-CBS logo, so it looks the part, 21 frets, etc, etc. But obviously there's a big whole blooming humbucker in the bridge. Now you didn't see that in the 50s, and not until quite a lot later on, but people used to want to maybe have a slightly more fat sounding guitar. So hence the modification of putting a bridge humbucker in it. Now, lastly but not least, and unfortunately is the last one, even though there are, I know you're probably thinking this, there are 4. We actually sold it literally a couple of days ago. These have just come in. We wanted to make a video, but here we are with 3 of them at least. They do another one which is the 60s Telecaster, so this is the 50s Telecaster. Now again, you've got some quite classic 50s styling with a maple neck. Again, you know, the V'd profile, even though it's across the board, you know, sort of 56, 57 style Fenders do often come with that V. But it is a satin V, and this also has the modifications of this 4-way switch here, giving you some parallel and in series sounds along with the push-pull there. Right, so obviously we talked a little bit about what makes them all very similar. So why might you possibly buy, you know, that one over, say, this one? Now, there's one kind of obvious thing, which is that's a Telecaster. I have genuinely bought Tellies because I maybe thought, well, that one looks, you know, everyone's got a Strat, so maybe that looks a bit cooler, etc. Now, they obviously do have slightly different sounds. This, you know, you don't have any kind of floating bridge, so tuning stability, along with obviously the locking tuners that come with it, you know, tuning stability on this is going to be really good. However, let's say you're playing a little bit more, you know, rock music or something where you need a little bit more grunt from that bridge pickup, then obviously I keep looking at this fella here. So it's kind of come in, try them all, you know, I mean, as long as we've done and got at least 3 next time you do come in, but come in, try them, see which one works for you, and yeah. Okay, well, I think that's enough of me talking about it, so let's have a listen. So that's kind of the bridge pickup there, so I just wanted to really get an idea of that spanky telly style bridge pickup. And it even seems to sort of drive the amp a little bit, in fairness. So let's hear a couple of other sounds, including, say, the neck. Okay, so just wanted to talk to you a little bit as well about the significance of the JV kind of moniker, if you like. So JV is initially Japanese Fenders were under the brand of Squier, which is where they came in about 1980, let's go with the early 1980s. So they had on the serial number, it was stamped JV for Japanese Vintage. Now, of course, over time, we've realized how good these guitars were actually made, and the Japanese stuff in general has a huge fan base for good reason. Now, with the original JVs, which are obviously very sought after now, you do actually have a Fender logo here. But you do have a lovely bit, which you probably can't see, but it does say in its little stamp that says JV. So you have that nice little serial number. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. So if we've missed anything, please let us know in the comments. Other than that, if you could like, subscribe, hell, give us a call. We do get a bit lonely from time to time, so do that. If you've got any more questions, let us know.